A safecracker named Ludwig starts his day by recording a video for his YouTube channel. He talks about a famous safe builder named Hans Wagner, who built 4 legendary safes before killing himself. While 3 of the legendary safes are still very much in circulation, no one knows where to find the last one. After he's done with the story, he posts it on his channel, which still has no views. Ludwig then heads out for work and makes a stop at a coffee shop as part of his usual morning routine. When he gets to work as a bank teller, he immediately has to deal with a woman who is making a complaint. He suddenly zones out and sees a report on the news about a zombie apocalypse happening around the world. He eventually leaves work at the end of the day and heads back home. The next day, while he's having lunch outside his office, he gets a notification from his laptop. He takes it inside, and when he opens it, he sees that one person has watched his latest video. Ludwig looks excited about this, and as he looks through the page, he sees that the person left a comment telling him to show up at a location in the city to show his talent. He decides to take the opportunity, and when he gets there, he sees that it's a safe cracking competition. Before fully understanding what's happening, Ludwig is announced as one of the participants. Shortly after, the first task starts, but he still does not understand what he's supposed to do. Suddenly, Ludwig realizes that he needs to open the safe to make it to the next round, so he starts his task. He does so well that he makes it into the final round against a guy named Neo. As the clock ticks for him to start, Ludwig teases Neo about how hard the final safe is. He wastes most of his time talking about the safe until he has only a few seconds left. Despite this, Ludwig still completes the task before Neo, who gets angry about losing. As the crowd cheers him, he sees a lady named Gwen, who smiles at him. Ludwig can't seem to take his eyes off her, but she eventually disappears. The next day, Ludwig goes about his usual routine and stops at the coffee shop. Just as he's about to leave, Gwen startles him from behind and introduces herself. He remembers seeing her at the safe cracking event, and she says she's the one who made him go there. He realizes that she's the only viewer on his channel and asks what she wants from him. She tells him she's an internationally wanted thief who belongs to a team that executes international bank heists. She also shows him how good she is by putting down the items she has already stolen from people in the coffee shop. While looking shocked by this, she tells him that her team's current plan is to crack the 3 active Wagner safes that he mentioned in his last video before they get destroyed in a few days. Because of his interest in the safe, Ludwig thinks about it for a moment, but he then asks if she's trying to prank him. She says it's not a prank and that he was picked because no one knows more about Hans Wagner than him. She then adds that she's trying to offer him a chance to make his life less ordinary. She drops her address for him to come there if he's interested. Ludwig thinks about it all night, and after he wakes from a nightmare where he is attacked by zombies, he decides to pay her a visit in the morning. When he gets to the house, she welcomes and introduces him to the rest of the team. The first person he meets is a lady named Karina, who is the team's hacker. He also meets the team's getaway driver, Rolf, as well as a guy named Brad, who calls himself the leader, even though Gwen says he's just their life-action hero. Brad immediately grabs the new guy and warns him not to mess things up for them. As Ludwig sees that it's a small team, he looks confused, but Gwen says it's why they've never been caught. Shortly after, Karina starts to brief the team on the heists they're about to carry out. She then says she has found the location for the 3 safes, which are in Paris, Prague, and Switzerland. She adds that they'll be robbing each one based on their order of difficulty. While Brad says he doesn't know why they're going for the less complicated safes that contain less money, Gwen says it's not about the money, but about becoming legends who steal from the Wagner safes. As Karina then talks about the combinations on each safe, Ludwig can't help but admire them. Since they have only a few days to execute the heists, they head off to Paris for the first one. While in the van outside the bank, Ludwig looks nervous, and Gwen tries to calm him. When he also sees Brad with a gun, he says he didn't know they were going to need one. Gwen whispers to him, saying she didn't load the gun, and she only lets Brad carry it to make him feel good. Just then, they go through the plan again, and everything goes well, with Ludwig getting excited as he opens the safe. As they're loading their bags with money, he tells Gwen that all the money won't fit, but she reminds him that it's not about the money. The heist turns out to be very easy, and they leave the bank successfully. The next day, a director from Interpol named Delacroix sets up a meeting with some agents, including his assistant Beatrix. While his assistant doesn't understand why he's concerned about something else, when he should be worried about the zombie apocalypse, He says he won't get a better chance to catch the criminals he has been looking for. He then tells his team the story of the Wagner safes and how one of them was robbed the previous day. From the footage outside the bank that was robbed, he shows his agents the two criminals responsible. He identifies Gwen and Brad as suspects, saying he has been chasing them for a while. He also adds that the one time he almost caught them, Brad shot him in the leg, but he was still able to arrest their safecracker. He says that since there are two other active Wagner safes, he's sure the thieves would be heading there next. Beatrix is concerned about how sure he is, but he says he knows their style of operation. Elsewhere, the team of thieves have a party to celebrate their successful heist. Karina catches Ludwig staring at Gwen as she's dancing, and she tells him about how Gwen left her wealthy parents when she was only 17. While they're talking, they also see that she rejects Brad's advances when he tries to dance with her. Gwen heads to her room, and later that night, Ludwig goes to meet her while she's going over the plan for the next heist. She asks if he's enjoying himself, and he says he still can't believe he was able to crack a Wagner safe. He asks if she's also doing well, and she says she is, but she mentions that she got into a small fight with Brad, as she then talks about how Brad grew up watching a lot of action movies, so he could be like the heroes in them. Ludwig also says he used to have a comic book he wrote about himself being a master safecracker. As this makes Gwen smile, he asks why she decided to be a thief. She tells him about how she left home, because her parents were corrupt people who benefited from the poor. She also mentions that she met Brad along the way, and they've been executing heists together. Shortly after, she says she recently felt she needed to do something people would remember, and that was why she picked the ring cycle. She then adds that she often thinks about striking out on her own. When he asks where she wants to go, she calls him to sit beside her. She then shows him the picture of the last safe, which she says is rumored to be in the United States. Ludwig looks amazed by the picture, and they both talk about what it would feel like to crack the legendary safe. Elsewhere, Brad gets jealous of Ludwig spending time with Gwen. He complains to Rolf, who says the new guy is likable, and she's probably trying to get to know him. The next day, they head out to Prague to rob the next bank. Delacroix and his men have also set up their things outside the bank while waiting for the thieves to strike. Before Gwen and Ludwig get out of the van, he gets nervous and says he's scared, but after a while he talks about how excited he is to crack yet another Wagner safe. He makes his way into the bank, and as Karina unlocks the doors to the vault while also tampering with the camera feed, some guards discover that something is wrong. As he's inside an elevator with Gwen, he asks why she didn't tell him she was in a relationship with Brad, but she doesn't seem to understand this. Brad is also listening to their conversation from the van, and he realizes that Ludwig might be interested in her. As the elevator door opens, they are approached by some guards, but Gwen beats them up. Ludwig asks if it was part of the plan, but she says she had to improvise. Just then, Ludwig starts working on the safe. Shortly after, two guards realize that someone is messing with their security system. They trigger a silent alarm, and as Karina sees this, she tells Brad, who says they need to initiate Plan B, which involves going into the bank himself and pretending to be a regular bank robber. He then wears a mask and starts shooting tranquilizers at the guards as soon as he enters the bank. Meanwhile, Delacroix figures out that he's at the wrong bank, and this gets him really angry at the manager, who traded the Wagner safe that used to be there. He asks for the new location and then heads there with his team. Elsewhere, Ludwig struggles with the safe at first, but he's eventually able to open it. After Brad figures out that they're almost through in the safe, he decides to leave, but a guard tries to shoot him. He's eventually able to knock down the man, but before he escapes, he is shot. He starts bleeding, but eventually makes it back into the van. Ludwig and Gwen also escape, and while Brad helps her into the van, he pushes Ludwig down and closes the door. As the police then start chasing Ludwig, he manages to escape and climb a moving train, after which he looks relieved to have survived the chase. Delacroix gets to the actual bank that was robbed, and he gets angry when he hears that the thieves have left. Meanwhile, Brad asks Karina to check if Ludwig has been arrested. As Gwen looks sad, he tells her the plan was always to ditch Ludwig, but she says he wasn't supposed to do it until they completed the 3 heists. She also says it was careless because they now have no safecracker for the last heist. He doesn't seem to care, and this gets her angry, after which she says she wants to get out of the van. He tries to stop her, but she gets down. Shortly after the van moves forward, Karina also requests to get down, and after she does, she meets Gwen. She then says she has put a lot of work into planning the last heist and doesn't want to let it go to waste. After a while, Ludwig gets back to his house, but he's shocked to see Gwen and Karina inside. He asks what they want, and they say sorry for what Brad did. They also tell him they need him for the last heist, and he agrees to help because cracking the Wagner safes excites him. Elsewhere, Delacroix checks on YouTube to see if he can find any other detail he might be missing about Hans Wagner and his safes. He comes across Ludwig's video, and as he watches it, he sees that the YouTuber looks like the guy who was caught on camera while escaping from the bank with Gwen. He then calls Beatrix to tell her he has found the new safecracker for the thieves. The next day, Ludwig and the ladies head to Switzerland to rob the last safe from a casino. Meanwhile, Delacroix and his men are waiting outside the casino to catch the thieves. Beatrix is worried about his plan because she thinks they should be working with the casino. However, her boss says that if he tells the casino about the thieves, they'll request that the safe be moved away ahead of schedule and he won't be able to catch them. Suddenly, one of his men intercepts a call between Ludwig and Gwen while they're talking about when they'll be robbing the casino. Despite Beatrix thinking it's suspicious, her boss is not bothered by it because he just wants to finally catch the thieves after many years. He waits until the time for the robbery before he heads into the casino to meet the manager. As he talks about the heist, the manager says they already got a call from Interpol about it, and they've had the safe taken away from the casino. It then turns out that Ludwig and the ladies baited Delacroix with a fake call, which helped them secure the last safe inside a transfer truck. Beatrix also happens to have helped with taking down an Interpol agent on the roof near the casino to prevent him from seeing when the safe was being moved. Delacroix gets angry when he realizes what happened, and because none of his men saw when the safe was moved, he figures out that one of the thieves is likely around the area. Meanwhile, Brad and Rolf are waiting outside the casino to see if Gwen and the others go through with the heist. While waiting, he asks if Brad already checked the tracker on Gwen's phone. He says it didn't show him anything when he checked, however. Rolf tells him to check again. Karina then discovers that Brad is close to the casino. She steps out of her van to find him, but as she sees the car, his GPS shows Gwen's location, and he leaves with Rolf. Before she can head back to her van, Delacroix shows up to arrest her. She immediately sends a text to Gwen to warn her, before then throwing her phone to the floor and getting it destroyed. The Interpol boss orders her arrest, and then tells her to give up the location of the others. When she doesn't say anything, Beatrix convinces her to say something instead of taking the fall for the others. As she also mentions that she'll make sure Karina's little brother is safe when she is taken away, she decides to give them the information they need. Gwen sees Karina's text, and she tells Ludwig to hurry up to unlock the safe at the back of the truck. After several attempts, he finally does it. She finds somewhere to park the truck, and after taking some money from the safe, they head out only to see Brad pointing a gun at them. He then says he can't believe that she would execute a plan without him. As he blames Ludwig for it, he threatens to kill him. However, it turns out there are no bullets in his gun. She tells him that she stopped putting bullets in his gun because she was scared he would kill someone after he shot Delacroix. She then threatens him with a real gun, and with this, she ties him and Rolf to the truck before leaving. After a while, Delacroix arrives at the scene and punches Brad immediately he sees him. He then tells his men to arrest the two thieves. Elsewhere, Gwen and Ludwig head over to a lake, and just before they leave the car, he confesses that he likes her. She also says the same to him, and together, they carry their things and find a boat. As they admire the lake, Delacroix appears behind them. Despite threatening to shoot her if she moves, she takes out her gun and points it at him. She then offers to bribe him, but he says he can't take it because he has been chasing her and Brad for many years. Just then, she tells Ludwig that they won't make it if they leave together. As he tries to understand what she means, she tells the Interpol boss to arrest her and let Ludwig leave. He doesn't agree with this, but she convinces him that she's the one he's interested in. After thinking about it, he tells Ludwig to go, but as he refuses, she also begs him to leave, saying if she comes out, she'll look for him so they can find the last safe together. As he hesitates, she shouts at him, and he finally enters the boat looking sad. Gwen is arrested, and while he's on the lake, Ludwig sees a bag in the boat containing a passport she made for him. With this, he heads to the United States. A while later, he opens a shop with her name, and one day, a lady named Maria brings her friend Scott to see him. Scott tells him that he has a big job for him. When he asks what it is, the big guy brings out a picture of the safe, saying he wants to rob it. Ludwig is excited to see it, and as he is asked if he can crack it, he says that even though he's not sure he can do it, he's likely the best person for the job, and he agrees to join them on the mission.